Okay, we're going to be going back to basics a little bit with this. We're going to be taking a look at removing some obstructions from this image that was taken by John. Now, John is a member of the members area on my website. He was kind enough to send me this picture with a train and a set of ladders growing out of the front of it. Not only does it have a set of ladders growing out of the front of it, if we just zoom in, I've got the hand tool, so I just need to press Command or Control, but it also has a telecommunications pole growing out just behind the funnel, as well as another telecommunication pole run out at the back of the cab. There's also one or two cables as well, all of which we're going to take a look at actually removing. Right, so to start off with, before we try removing anything, it's always a good idea to put it in and work on a new empty layer. Clicking on this icon here, in it goes. Now there's several advantages to using a new empty layer. First things first, taking a look at the document size, it hasn't increased at all. It only increases by the amount of detail, by the amount of pixels that we put on to the new empty layer. Right, let's zoom in. Again, I've still got the hand tool selected, so we're going to zoom into this sort of area here. Let's click down, grab, pull our way through. This, by the way, it works in all versions of Photoshop. Doesn't matter if you're on Elements right the way through. This applies to all versions of Photoshop. We're going to be cloning to a new empty layer. Just taking a look at the menu bar at the top here. That's the brush size. The hardness is set on 0 there. Coming through, we got the brush opacity, got the flow rate, you got the align sample, and this is the important one here. Make sure it is set to all layers. In other words, if it's not set to all layers, you won't be able to do it to the new empty layer. Right, coming across, if you press the Alt or the Option key, clicking down, moving it across there, and CS5 it gives us a bit of a preview, but that's picking the pixels up from the one area. You may just see the little cross there coming across. Whoops, I just inadvertently right clicked. I'm using the graphics tablet and I right clicked with my pen. You see I'm using the graphics tablet to see the size of the brush getting smaller than the other. The other thing is, if you were to go over an area like that and you were to think, oh dear, you could have even saved it, come back after your dinner and think, oh dear, I have made a mistake. You can use whatever words you choose to use, but I will use those for now. Picking up the eraser tool, you can just simply come back over this. You can remove those like that. Job done. Pressing S again because I didn't do a very good job. Using the left hand square bracket, we can take the size of the brush down. Let's come over here again. Just quickly go over that. There it is. Great stuff. Right, got a few cables coming through here in the way. You might like to try as well the healing brush tool, very similar to the clone tool. In other words, if you pick a spot here, pressing down the Alt, the Option key, coming across, I've got a soft edge brush coming across like this to that area there, releasing it, it goes across, it does its business, and it clicks in nicely. Job done. Coming through, removing this piece of cable from here as well. There it is. Coming round to this one, you might even like to try the spot healing brush. Again, it's another brush tool. Let's take the hardness down to 0 so it does a better job. The softer the brush, the better the edge is going to be with this. So just coming through, just removing that area there. Nice one. Coming through to this part here. Again, clicking down instead of using the graphics tablet, so I just apply a little bit more pressure when I want the brush to be slightly larger. Ease it off. Not sure I'm particularly overwhelmed with the job that this has done, but never mind. The other thing, don't forget, you've got a new empty layer. You can come through, you can erase it. You might want to swap tools to, say, the healing brush tool. Give the healing brush tool a try, see how that does. And again, it's just playing with the different tools, not just using, that does a much better job, doesn't it? It's not just using the one tool, but seeing what you've got in Photoshop, using the tools then to apply. Talking about using different tools. Telecommunications pole behind the funnel of our train, picking up the Freehand Lasso. There it is there. It's the regular, the standard selection. So just coming through, there it is, Freehand Lasso. Until we reach this area here. At this point, I'm going to press and hold down the Alt or the Option key, and our hang on, get ready. Yep, the freehand has now become the straight line, the Polygonal Lasso. So clicking down. You call it what you want to call it, polygonal, straight line, round we come, doesn't really matter. And the beauty of using this is you can drop down, and then when we reach an area like this, I'm just releasing the Alt or the Option key, and I'm now going to freehand to allow me to come round this area there, just coming over the tops of the bolts. Round we come, and there it is, join it up. Job done. Don't forget, this selection is on the new empty layer. You'll notice the new empty layer has grown in size. It's gone from 34.5 to 37.5 with the detail we put into it. So pressing S to give us our clone tool. Pressing the Alt key, this is where we're picking the pixels up from, don't forget, coming across to this area here, just quickly coming down round like that. Over there, and this is the idea for the selection, is it allows us to come right up, and we don't have to worry about the edges. It just makes life quicker and easier. Just changing, make sure we get the right make of leaf going in there, otherwise somebody will spot it. So just coming through, blending that in, round. We don't have to worry about the edges on that, over that part there. I think there's a bit of a repeat pattern there and there, so just keeping an eye out for those. Job done. Command D, Control D. There it is before, there it is after. Nice one. Coming across, let's take a look at this. Exactly the same technique. Picking up the Freehand Lasso, coming down, pressing that Alt or the Option key. Now hold that Alt or Option key down to give us the Polygonal Lasso. Through we come like this to that area there, dropping down, round we come to this. You'll notice the way it just moved itself on the image. Coming up to this area here, you could of course release it to come to the top. I'm just holding it down to come round that part there. You can lift it up and see the way it's just pulling its weight. That nice of it, just helping us out there. You can obviously see I'm struggling, so it's really doing its bit to help out. Thank you. Appreciate that. You can release it now and come back to the Freehand Lasso. Down we come. The other way is just press the space bar. Now if you press the space bar with the Alt key or the Option key held down, you get the sort of the zoom out tool, and that allows you then just to move around the image as well. So it just brings up like the move type tool, but it shows us the zooming out tool. Right, pressing S again, we now have got our clone tool back, picking up the leaves from this area here, coming round, just dropping it down a little bit, coming up to the underside of the water tower, coming through, just getting rid of that repeat pattern, picking up the leaves from here, coming across into that. And you can see by putting the selection in, we're working with the selection, and it just allows us, we don't have to fuss and bother with coming in and removing bits and pieces. It just takes all the guesswork away from that. If you're using alright with leaves and foliage, it tends to be, it's much quicker and easier. But you've got people's buildings, other obstructions in the way. Yeah, it's invaluable to use selections. It does make life much quicker, much easier to work with. Just quickly coming through this, because I don't want to sort of keep you hanging around too much. Round we go like that. Nearly there. Coming down to the bottom, pressing the Alt or the Option key. You'll notice the file size has increased very, very slightly in size. Every time I release it, you may notice it going up the odd sort of pixel or two. Don't forget, it's the amount of actual detail we're putting down which determines the file size this is growing to. That's pretty good like that. Command D, Control D. Let's zoom out a little bit using Alt or Option spacebar and take a look with our set of ladders and our telecommunications pole. Zoom into the back a little bit, just switching it on and off. You can see the cables there as well. And there's our telecommunications pole at the back. Seems like the driver has now got himself a mobile phone because he's got rid of his telecommunications poles. There it is, job done. It's just a great way of tidying up the image, removing any distractions that you may have in there. And you can see it now just focuses the attention on the main subject matter. Go on, give it a try. Until the next time, it's happy imaging and take care.